Good evening to you. What an honour, pleasure and privilege it is to be here with you. I want to extend my most profound gratitude to Erica and to Joel for their kind invitation for me to return here to Silicon Valley. It's wonderful to be here with old friends, new friends. I always enjoy coming to this part of the United States of America. I have extraordinarily fond memories of speaking here in December of 2016. And so much has happened to me in my life since that time, and I can't wait to share with you a lot about that, both personally, professionally, and in lots and lots of other ways. What an honour, pleasure and privilege it is to be in the land of the free and the home of the brave. In the world's exceptional nation, in civilization's indispensable country. And to top it all off, if all of that weren't enough, right here in the epicenter of technological innovation that leads not just America, but the entire world. I want to share with you a story. And as I share this story with you, I invite you to momentarily close your eyes and really imagine what it is that I am sharing with you. It's December of 1985. Two parents are at their wits' end. Something is wrong with their 16-month-old child. For months they've been to doctor after doctor, pediatrician after pediatrician, but nobody can tell them what is wrong. One night, with their child even more unsettled than usual, they head to the emergency ward of the local children's hospital. The ward is almost deserted, but there's one overnight doctor there, a young man with a smiling face and an accent. As he looks the child over, his smile quickly evaporates. He tells the parents that he can't be sure, but he has a hunch that he may have seen this before, and he fears that their child has a very rare form of childhood cancer. He prescribes a certain set of tests and commands the parents to return the very next morning to have those tests conducted. The very next day, the parents' worst fears would be confirmed. Their child had stage 4 neuroblastoma, a very rare form of childhood cancer indeed. The parents were mine. The child was me. The doctor, it turned out, was an American. The cause of neuroblastoma remains unknown to this day, with only 1 in 100,000 children being diagnosed with it each year. Notoriously difficult to diagnose when it is, the tumour has almost always already metastasized. A child, an infant, a baby with stage 4 neuroblastoma is given just a 5% chance of life. Only 1 in 20 survive. For 3.5 years, I underwent chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and an operation. And through the healing hands of God, our master physician, I defied the odds and lived. It was the... Thank you. It was the instincts of an American doctor, fresh out of college, just in Australia for a summer residency, that proved crucial to my survival. So I'm fond of saying that I haven't only studied American exceptionalism, I've lived it. In fact, I am alive because of it. Once I became of an age where I could properly comprehend the magnitude of my escape, I resolved to never ever waste a single second of a minute, of an hour, of a day, of a month, of a year, ever. And I am really proud to be able to report to the Silicon Valley Liberty Forum here tonight that I have very much lived up to that self-commitment. I was the valedictorian of my school. I was publicly elected to political office at the age of 19, becoming one of the youngest ever elected councilmen in Sydney, Australia. On the 13th of September 2005, just 8 days after my 21st birthday, I was elected the youngest deputy mayor in Australia, a record which still stands to this day. The first election I ever voted in, I voted for myself. I am now a 4-time New York Times best-selling author, and I have the distinction of being the first author to have ever had a book endorsed by a sitting president of the United States. And that honour was bestowed upon me on the 3rd of March 2017 when President Trump took to Twitter, where else, to declare that my book, Green Card Warrior, was a must-read and that I was a great American. He followed it up 6 months later with another tweet endorsing my previous book on the 25th of August 2017, Retaking America, Crushing Political Correctness. That does sound like his kind of book, doesn't it? Making me the only author to have had 2 books endorsed by a sitting president of the United States. And in fact, the president was photographed boarding Marine One on his way to Camp David in September of 2017 with Retaking America under his arm, which has prompted many in the media to rather generously refer to me as the president's favourite author. So that's been quite the journey. Many of you will recognise me from television. I am a Fox News and Fox Business commentator. I have spoken in 42 of the 50 states. I've given keynote addresses in 6 different countries. I am recognised worldwide as an authority on American exceptionalism. In fact, I have decided to dedicate my life to promoting, protecting and perpetuating what I consider to be the greatest idea ever, the American idea. To top all of that off, if all of that weren't enough, on the 29th of July 2016, after 4.5 long, torturous and arduous years, including a stint on the no-fly list, courtesy of the Obama administration and John Kerry's State Department, and those long-time members of the Silicon Valley Conservative Forum, now Liberty Forum, will remember that my time on that no-fly list prohibited me from coming to speak to you when I was originally planning to. And close to $50,000 later, I finally legally immigrated to the United States of America. I'm an American. And since being here, I have had all of these remarkable honours bestowed upon me. Governor Perry appointed me an honorary Texan. Governor Mary Fallon made me an honorary Oklahoman. Governor Matt Bevin commissioned me a Kentucky colonel. Governor Pete Ricketts made me a Nebraskan admiral. Recently, I became an Arkansas traveller. I've been given the Order of the Silver Crescent, which is the highest non-resident award possible in the state of South Carolina. I am waiting for the day that the governor of California rings me up and gives me a similar kind of award. But I suspect I'll be waiting for quite some time. So, ladies and gentlemen, what is it that I believe in? I believe in God, personal responsibility, the sanctity of human life, limited government, a strong national defence, the state of Israel, the right to bear arms. Up there with all of those things, I believe in the United States of America. And if there is one take-home message that I have for you today, if there is one thing that I want you to recall tonight when you go home and rest your head on your cold pillow, it is this. Despite the undeniable, indisputable and incontrovertible problems, challenges, threats and realities currently afflicting the United States of America, This is still easily, by far and away, hands down, head and shoulders, the greatest country in the history of the world. Every single time I speak to an elementary school, middle school, public high school or college audience, I look those students in the eyes and I tell them that the day that they were born in the United States of America is the day that they won the lottery of life. And they got the most incredible, the most amazing, the most remarkable, the most sensational head start on anyone and everyone everywhere else. This is the best country in the world to be born in. This is the best country in the world to live in. This is the best country in the world to work in. This is the best country in the world to start a business in. This is the best country in the world to grow a business in. This is the best country in the world to realize a dream. This is the only country in the world where you can blaze a trail and leave a legacy. This is the only country in the world that disdains mediocrity and aspires for greatness. This is the only country in the world where success is not yet resented but still admired and aspired to. This is the only country in the world where anybody can colour outside of the lines and not be punished. This is the only country in the world where your first language or last name means absolutely nothing. This is the only country in the world where anybody can rise above any set of circumstances of their birth to go on and achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve. This is the only country in the world where failure is not fatal, where you can fall down 5,000 times, but if you've got grit, determination and hustle, you can get up 5,001. Thomas Edison had 1,000 cracks at the light bulb. Colonel Harlan Sanders had his recipe for fried chicken rejected 1,009 times before he finally got a taker. Henry Ford went bankrupt twice, almost 3 times. Same story with Walt Disney. Our 16th President of the United States, President Abraham Lincoln, lost his first 12 elections on the trot. Again and again and again. The message, the theme throughout American history has been that those with tenacity, those with perseverance, those prepared to go to whatever lengths they have to in order to succeed, end up leaving a legacy well beyond their time on this earth. America's a unique place. After all, where else can you go bankrupt 3 times and become President of the United States of America? You see, America is special because America is not just a country, not simply a stretch of land, not merely a geographic entity. America is an idea. It is an ideal, a notion, a value system, an improbable and daring experiment that remains equally as improbable and daring today. It's the shot that was heard around the world and still is. There are 4 ways that a nation is said to be exceptional: culturally, militarily, economically, and scientifically. And on each of those 4 measurements, in almost 5,000 years of recorded human history, you want to hear the kicker? Here comes the kicker. With less than 5% of the world's population. Let me repeat that again. With less than 5% of the world's population, America has dominated those 4 spheres to an extent previously considered impossible. But none of that success, none of that power, none of that might, none of that influence, none of that wealth just happened. None of it was accidental. None of it was incidental. No, to the contrary. All of it was extraordinarily deliberate, extremely intentional. You see, the most brilliant men to have ever walked this earth were our founders, who understood that the way to unlocking human ingenuity, the way to unleashing human creativity, the way to driving human accomplishment was to make sure that men and women were as unencumbered as possible by the need for government approvals and red tape. It's for precisely the same reason that the United States of America has ascended to the position of guardian of liberty, as the custodian of civilization. I want you to contemplate for just a fleeting moment what the world might look like without the United States of America. North Korea would invade South Korea. Taiwan would be overrun by China. War, maybe nuclear, would break out in the Middle East. Russia would attempt to rebuild the Soviet Empire. Islamic terrorists would act with complete impunity. Tyrants in North Africa would run around even more mercilessly than what they already do. Cataclysmic natural disasters would have no concerted, coordinated response effort. Individual liberty would gradually diminish and ultimately become extinct. That's what a world without the United States of America looks like. And that's why it's in the interest of everyone, no matter who you are, where you come from, what you do, what your first language was, what profession you're in, how you identify yourself to the airlines, which one of the new 57 different genders you choose to identify with, what bathroom you elect to use, even if you have never so much as even set your little toe on American soil. It's in your interests that America be as robust, as self-assertive, and as self-confident as possible. Why? Because the equation is very simple. What is good for America is good for the world. When America is strong, the world is strong. When America is weak, the world is a weak and dangerous place. Now, that's not my hypothesis that I've scribbled on the back of a cocktail napkin in some drunken stupor at the IFAS Hall in Mountain View, California. We were living that reality real time until 3.5 years ago, when we had elites at the highest levels of the federal government that were insistent on ensuring that America retreated in the world, that it vacated its traditional role of leading from the front and instead elected to lead from behind. The result? While the world is now calming with the new administration of the 45th President of the United States, it remains an infinitely more dangerous place than it has been for a very, very, very long period of time. My friends, political correctness is killing the United States of America. You see, here's the thing, not to sound like Joe Biden. Here's the deal, if you want to sound like Joe Biden. Here's the deal. Most people think that political correctness is simply an imposition on speech. Just something that tells us what we can say and something that tells us what we can't say. Well, that would be egregious enough with our proud tradition of the First Amendment. But I'm here to tell you with regret rich in my voice that political correctness is infinitely more than that. It's way more than that. It's a cultural mindset. It's an attitude. It's a mentality that says that you should strive for mediocrity and not greatness, that you shouldn't colour outside of the lines lest you be punished, that you should resent those that have differentiated themselves professionally, financially, or in some other fashion more so than you. In fact, political correctness mandates that success and achievement be a measurement of how much butt you kiss as opposed to how much butt you kick. What could be more un-American and anti-American than that? Political correctness is an intellectual tyranny, a choking conformity, a totalitarian ideology that strips us of our individualism, eliminates our patriotism, removes our self-confidence. And in doing so, political correctness is transforming the American dream into the European nightmare. And why on earth would we want to follow the trajectories of the once grand nations of Europe, now with demography in decline, Islam in the ascendancy, where churches are being routinely transformed into nightclubs, where moral clarity is conspicuously absent? Those countries, those cultures, those societies, those polities have become moribund and pedestrian and boring and vanilla and dry. There's no passion, there is no innovation, there are no inventions. That's not the future that we want for the United States of America. That's not the future that we want for our children and our grandchildren and our great-great-great-great-grandchildren. And that's certainly not the future that our founders had envisioned for us. You see, America is complex, but American exceptionalism is stunningly simple. It's individualism, not collectivism. Patriotism, not relativism. God, not government. Faith, not secularism. It's equality, but it's equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. It's e pluribus unum, not radical multiculturalism. It's about life, not death. It's about being bold, not being bland. These are the virtues and values that have differentiated the United States of America from every other society on this earth in almost 5,000 years. But proponents and advocates of political correctness would seek to eliminate every single one of those points of differentiation, rendering America just another country, just another place. Ladies and gentlemen, it's very personal to me. I chose to come to the United States of America. I came to make, not take, to give, not receive, to join the place, not complain about it or change it. I came because I knew that this was the greatest country in the world. I came because I knew that this was the place that would afford me the most freedom and the most opportunity to achieve the dreams that God put in my heart. But I also came here in no small, insignificant, or insubstantial way to make sure that the United States of America does not turn out like the country I felt I had to leave. Most Americans, like most people around the world, think that in Australia people box kangaroos by day and wrestle crocodiles by night. If that were the case, I might still be there. But the international perception is vastly different to the domestic reality. Australia is and has always been an infinitely more European place in instinct, in proclivity, in culture, in setup and in values. And anybody that has even a cursory knowledge of important policy areas such as gun ownership and healthcare will know that America truly does stand alone when it comes to culture, values and setup. And that is why I am on a mission, to make sure that every single American, from north to south, east to west and everywhere in between, but especially our young, particularly those that will be bequeathed with the most awesome responsibility conceivable, keeping the grand American experiment alive. I want them to know how lucky and how fortunate and how blessed they are to call America home. I don't want our children just being lukewarm on America. I want them to be red, piping, burning hot for America. I want every child in this country to have a heart beating for this country. That's why I set up FLAG, the Foundation for Liberty and American Greatness, one of the fastest growing non-profits in America today. FLAG is all about two things. Number one, teaching civics, And number 2, putting patriotism back in public schools. We do it 3 ways. Thank you. We do it 3 ways. Number 1, through classroom visits. Number 2, through the creation and distribution of resources relating to the founding documents. And number 3, through professional development training for teachers, where we teach the teachers to teach civics the way that it used to be taught to all of you. In 2016, I went into 42 different public schools across 8 different states. And I knew that it was going to be pretty bad, what I would find. But nothing could possibly have prepared me for the extent of just how bad. I discovered that today's young Americans have not even in many cases a basic knowledge or appreciation of the 3 founding documents: the United States Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Federalist Papers. This was backed up last year in a special State of Patriotism report. FLAG teamed up with YouGov, one of the world's leading polling agencies, and we polled 1,179 people aged between 15 and 35. Some of the statistics that I'm about to quote to you are going to sound familiar, and they're familiar because they made a lot of news when these became public. 47% of those surveyed believe that Barack Obama had a greater impact on America than George Washington. 49%, almost 1 in 2, agreed with one of the following statements: America is a sexist country, America is a racist country, America is a homophobic country. 23% of those aged between the ages of 15 and 24 said that they believe that Judge Judy serves on the Supreme Court. 26% said that they agreed with the statement, more than a quarter, that they agreed with the statement that America was never great and never will be. And 21% said they found absolutely nothing wrong with somebody burning the American flag. Ladies and gentlemen, we are losing our country. Our children do not believe in American values. They believe in European values. And that's why I decided to do something about it. In 2017, FLAG teamed up with interns from the late Justice Antonin Scalia's office, and we got the United States Constitution into simple, plain, easy to understand English that even a 5th grader can comprehend. We launched it live on Fox News with a special 3-hour event on the Fox News Plaza in Manhattan. This resource has been a rocket ship for us. It is the United States Constitution in simple, plain, easy to understand English. This resource is so popular that we get testimonials from public school teachers in California, Illinois, and New Jersey. On the heels of the stunning success of this resource, in April of 2018, at the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C., with our FLAG board member, Mr. Bill O'Reilly, we launched the world's first kid-friendly Declaration of Independence. Same concept, same idea. And to complete the set, because we are anything if not thorough, in January of this year, we launched the world's first kid-friendly selected readings of the Federalist Papers. And our latest resource is the Citizen's Guide to the Electoral College, because we know what the left are coming after next. And our kid-friendly Constitution just last month was translated into Spanish. If we can translate the Bible, we can translate the Constitution to evangelize our values. I'm proud to tell you that either one of those 5 resources is now in the hands of more than 500,000 public school students in all 50 states. And we are closing in on 750,000. In addition to that, we have our Flag Schools Pledge, where we get schools to commit to doing 3 very simple things. Number 1, recite the Pledge of Allegiance every day. Number 2, display an American flag in every classroom. And number 3, sing the national anthem before all major sporting events. And I'm proud to tell you that we now have 8,352 schools as of last Friday afternoon signed up to that commitment. In October, we held the first ever in the conservative movement conference for public school teachers. We had 50 public school teachers from 19 different states travel to Philadelphia. They received 16 hours of professional development credit towards their continuing education. So every year, in order to be able to keep teaching, teachers need to do a certain number of hours of professional development, what they call PD. They got 16 hours of that. They got to tour Constitution Hall, Liberty Bell. They left with 30 lesson plans ready to go the moment they got back to their classroom on Monday morning. And if you consider the multiplier effect, if you think about how many students one teacher over the course of their career will influence, that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we win back the future. That is how we take back America. And we are now in such demand that we're even going into school districts and doing that professional development training. In addition to that, Flag this year declared war on this idea that every child has got to go to college. I went to college, I got 2 degrees, I had the time of my life. But the reality is that not everybody is made for college. And we need plumbers and electricians and machinists and carpenters and welders and entrepreneurs. And there are some really good reasons that we do not want our children going to college unless they are tailor-made for it. Number 1, we want them to avoid the almost inevitable liberal indoctrination that awaits them on any college campus. Number 2, we don't want them graduating up to their eyeballs saddled in debt. Student loan debt is at an epidemic high, more than $1.3 trillion. Number 3, we want to virtually guarantee them a job. How tragic it is when a graduate finishes after 3 or 4 years and then can't find work. And most attractive, most appealing, most sexy of all, we want to give the maximum amount of young Americans the chance to one day go and do the most American thing of all. Start their own business, employ people, create wealth, achieve their own American dream. So let me close with this. America this year celebrated her 243rd birthday, a time for great celebration. But I would also submit a time for sober and somber contemplation. Because if you go and ask any historian worth their salt how long great nations tend to last, they'll tell you somewhere between 230 and 270 years. And that, my friends, puts America right in the kill zone. To make matters worse, the enemies of the United States, for the first time, are no longer only foreign. They're also domestic. There are people within America rooting for America's decline or failure. So the fight, the battle, the war, the struggle that we're going to have to embark on is going to require us to summon every ounce of patriotism from the soles of our feet to the tops of our heads. But as a lifelong student of American history, I remain unswervingly convinced that our best days still lie ahead. From the early defeats by Britain in the War of Independence, to the loss of the Philippines, to Pearl Harbor, to the days following September 11, every single time America has been under attack, every single time America and freedom have been shoved up against a corner wall in a room, America has emerged bigger and stronger and better than ever before. It was the French nobleman Alexis de Tocqueville who observed in his sociological masterpiece, Democracy in America, that the true genius of the American people lay in their ability to repair their faults. He noted the, quote, uncanny propensity to recorrect a cultural trajectory. Sir Winston Churchill, the great wartime Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, my lifelong political hero and the greatest figure of the 20th century, once similarly affectionately jibed, he was half American of course, his mother was American, affectionately jibed that America always does the right thing after exhausting every other option. And here I stand before you today as a third outsider, telling you that I identify the same resilience, the same boomerang spirit. It's why I called my first book The American Boomerang, how the world's greatest turnaround nation will do it again. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that you already know, but you need to hear again. For the last 60 years, there has been a culture war raging in this country. But only one side has been fighting it. They've done it with violence, the threat of violence, lies, and the hostile takeovers of universities. They are dedicated to nothing short of our annihilation. And in the pursuit of that goal, they are governed only by two things: the rules of Saul Alinsky and the Chicago mob. While this culture war has raged, we conservatives, we hard-working, everyday, regular, ordinary Americans have been busy paying off our mortgages, growing our businesses, saving up our money to send our children off to college. And we have consistently and constantly and continually sought the high ground and elevated things like collegiality and dignity and propriety to the point now where we wake up in the morning, we almost choke on our bacon and eggs because we cannot believe what we are seeing on the television. The local high school down the road is changing its name. The statue outside the courthouse that's been there forever has been designated for removal. The elementary school 2 counties away has officially changed the school calendar to read from Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. Day in and day out, there is a relentless assault on American values, a relentless assault on all of the things that you and I know and love. And it is for two reasons. Number one, all of the cultural institutions that shape and generate our culture are in the hands of people that want to fundamentally transform this country. Their words, not mine. They don't love America the way that you and I love America. They don't love the things about America that you and I love about America. They want to turn America into something that it isn't, something that it has never been, and something, quite frankly, that it should never be. The second reason is what I like to refer to as the passion gap. And it always pains me to say this and proclaim this so publicly. But the only way that we're going to have any shot of being victorious in this culture war is by being brutally candid with ourselves and how we got here. So let me go ahead and say it to you. For the last 60 years, the left in this country have wanted to destroy America more than we have wanted to protect it. For the last 60 years, the left in this country have wanted to destroy America more than we have wanted to protect it. And ultimately, this fight that we are in is no different to a street fight. It's going to come down to who wants it the most. And until we can match them in intensity, in passion, and in strategy, we are going to continue to lose all of those things that are so important to us. This is a war that we did not start, but it is a war that we will finish. This is a war that we did not invite, but this is a war that we will attend. For this right here, where I stand and you sit, is freedom's Colosseum. The rest of the world is too far gone. Freedom is going to live, or freedom is going to perish right here on this soil. And the pages of the history books yet to be written will reflect the actions that we determined to take at this juncture. Did we invest in the next generation of Americans? Did we insist on our citizens believing in American values? Or did we permit them to believe in European values? Did we make every conceivable effort to secure the Republic? Did we speak to our neighbours? Did we speak to our friends? Did we speak to our relatives? Did we go into our churches and pull our fellow congregants out of the pews and into the voting booths? Did we continue to be silenced and bullied and harassed and intimidated by political correctness? Or did we relegate it right where it belongs, on the dusty bottom bookshelf of some fourth-rate library in the middle of nowhere? These are the questions whose answers will determine what happens. But I want you to have hope. I want you to know that by virtue of the work that I do, I'm in a different city almost every day. And I want you to know that there are more of us than there are them. But they're louder than us. They're more strategic than us. I want you to know that there are patriots fighting gallantly for our cause and our values in the unlikeliest of places. But I don't need to tell you that, because each and every single one of you fit that category. This is one of the strongest groups I have ever spoken to in 10 years speaking all across the country. And it is a testimony to you, to your patriotism, to your character, to your love and dedication of country, that you would carve out time to work out how you can rescue the United States of America from going down the European path. This is a fight that we can win. This is a fight that we must win. This is a fight that we will win. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. God bless California. And God bless the United States of America. Let's go out and kick some anti-American butt. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.